Here?
Here.
There.
3.5.
Do what?
We just barely heard you. I said 3.5.
Yeah, I'm here.
We need approval of the September 22nd minutes.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
Need a second?
Anybody second?
It should have been October the 13th. That would have been my
It
my
says
bad.
September the 22nd.
It's October the 13th, actually.
Okay.
My
Make a
bad.
motion we
Whatever it is she
accept the
wants.
minutes October the 13th.
And the second was
I'll second.
Stan.
Thank
Guys, it's
All in favor?
Aye. It says October
Did
13th.
we? Well, I was ready to see this. Just here observing.
Oh,
The
Okay.
minutes are right. I just had the wrong date on the agenda.
Oh, okay, because this is right.
Peggy,
I don't have anything.
well, I think you do.
Why do?
I think you ought to tell them in general terms what the lady from the auditor said.
Oh,
I think that's worth repeating.
oh, well, yes, I thought so. We did have our audit this last week, and then David and I met with the auditor then on Friday, and seems like everything went very well. And we were able to provide them all the little pieces of paper that they needed, and it does appear that a lot of the recommendations that we had last year, we've met and taken care of. And one of the things that we was really pleased about was the bond covenant. You know, we've always struggled to get that 110% figure, and we apparently did that this year, which I think increasing the rates helped with that. Cutting back on some expenses helped that. It's always a combination of things, but that's been a little bit of a challenge for us to meet that goal over the last couple of years. And expenses were down, and it seems like all the budget, we weren't out of compliance on the budget. So they'll be here probably in December to give their full report, but it was very, very
It was
nice.
a good report.
It was nice.
We kind of held our breath. Peggy did all the work, you know, really gathered everything and did got whatever they wanted, so did a good job.
It was a long week, but we got through it.
Good job.
Since I goofed up on the agenda, can we just amend it and change the date, or what do you want to do?
On the October, on what?
Well, we need to approve or amend the agenda, and I didn't know since I had that date wrong, if we needed to amend it.
Just change the date. That's good enough.
So can we approve it?
Huh?
Can we approve it?
Approve the agenda.
Just
May we?
Okay. Need a motion to approve changing from September the 22nd to October, whatever she wanted to be.
That's what's on mine.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are you better?
I'm much better, thank you.
Okay. Reggie came over and we were talking, you know, we're getting ready to move, so, you know, it's only about 60 days. Not very long until City Hall may be ready to move into. So we need to get rid of, dispose of any records that we can dispose of, and get the others we don't want to move into the rock building, and I think we'll have room, at least this time. So Reggie got the information to see how we could dispose of those records, and one of the ways is the landfill. So you want to tell them what we're going to do, Reggie?
Well,
What you're going to do?
our part, we're just, I read the paperwork, and Micah had went to a class during the police clerk's conference and found out about retention and what we need to do when we dispose of old records, and we can get rid of a lot of our old records with the paperwork that I gave you guys if we'll approve it to get rid of the old police records. And one way of doing it is the landfill. And what we're going to do is use the our trash service, and we're going to put the old records in there, compact it in the trash truck, and take it to the landfill and dispose of it.
And keep a log of what
And
you...
we have to keep a log of what we destroy. So,
That seemed to be the easiest way.
you know,
Shredded or
if someone needs to ride with the folks to the landfill to make sure that's where it all goes, and we can come back and sign off and said, yeah, we watched this happen, you know, well, I don't mind doing that. So
I don't think you have to do that. If you
probably
send
not,
in
but you know, if
compact
that comes
you-
to it, and
Yeah.
I don't mind doing that. So
Unless you think somebody's gonna get in the back of the...
I don't think I would want to.
You make a motion to.
Yeah, we'll need a motion to approve that method of disposal for the police department records.
I'll make a motion that we dispose of police records in that fashion.
Okay, need a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Keith, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Airport progress. We had some bids on getting the card reader done that ranged all the way from $3,500 to $9,000.
How much?
All the way from 3,700 to 9,000, which indicated to me that whoever it was didn't want to do it. And that was the last one. So I haven't talked to David, and I should have today, but we're going to use a combination of Ray and Jimmy when he's needed, and see if we can get it put together. We've got to get the card reader back in and operating correctly before we can be approved by Phillips 66. And so that's where we are. We're still working on the reader. We've got the gas, we can't sell it.
I can't believe it costs that kind of money.
Huh?
I can't believe it ought to cost that kind of money.
Me either. I just don't think he wanted to do it.
Yeah, it should.
But he sure made sure he didn't get the bid, $9,000. So anyway, that's where we are. I haven't heard anything from Jerry in regard to the extra trees we'll take out.
Yeah, he's kind of tied up right now or another
Yeah.
job.
So
Is there any way Phillips 66 would help us in getting that set up?
Is that any different than these card readers, these gas pumps?
well, I don't have any idea.
I
We
don't
sent
know.
Jim Shahan out there to look at it too. And he just said, you don't have to be a licensed electrician to do this work. But he said, Jim's working full-time somewhere else. And he said he'd only be able to fiddle with it on weekends when we're needing.
You know, that company that set all this equipment and removed all that equipment from down here at Murphy's when you closed the station down, they're located right there in Fordland, and they set this stuff up all the time. I just was wondering if that was, excuse me, would be the same as,
Suzanne, make a note to remind me to call David tomorrow. Unless
you
you
were all in.
find out where we
He
are.
said he'd be in in the morning. He needed to talk to you in the morning.
Okay. So anyway, we've
Where
got,
them tanks set, where they closed it.
It's right there at
station
Diggins.
Down,
It's at Diggins is where it's at.
digging.
Yeah.
It's on the right-hand side, where they closed that service station down, and right there by this guy, well, I bought a stand tank from him a few years ago, but anyway, they installed gas pumps and all that for these stations, so I just was wondering if
okay.
that'd be something similar to what we need.
I don't know the name of the place, just,
I know where it is.
just
You know where it's
make a
at?
note that it's at Diggins.
Yeah.
That's where that service station used to be, that's closed down.
Yeah, they built a chain link
Can't think
fence
of it.
around the.
Yeah. And I'll talk to David in the morning and see.
I think there's
Or,
that
Now,
station.
pump and tanks will also have to be certified when they do it for weights and measures, meaning that if they buy 30 gallons of fuel, that it is pumping 30 gallons of fuel.
I assume that it will have to be.
Department of Agriculture will have to
Yeah.
check it.
Yeah.
We'll check it. So,
But they'll do that once we get the carburetor.
carburetor up,
Don't
yeah.
they do that themselves?
Mhm.
Weights,
Come out.
Weights and Measure will be back, cause they wanted to make for sure we had that pollution insurance and we've got it.
Okay.
They'll be back when we get our date.
Well, I'll talk to him in the morning, we'll kind of see where we are with it. Got busy today and forgot to call him. And we're waiting on Jerry. And I think once we get those trees done, then we'll worry about Ronnie Norman's trees and trimming them a little bit up on the hill. I can't think of John's last name, but he was a roofer that was part of the Bales construction crew. I was up there the other day, and we'd had 3 little leaks in the roof, and that day it didn't rain much, and it just poured through in the spot. And so I called him, and a week ago Friday, he came down and got up on the roof and looked at it. And he said the south half of the roof is bad, the north half is not too bad. And so he gave an estimate of fixing it, and the estimate was a little like the estimate to fix the reader. It was $50,000–$60,000 to fix the roof. So anyway, I called, but before we got that, I called David Froling with Gaskin Hill and told him that it appeared we were going to have to do something with the roof. So he and Joe got involved in that. The guy, this John, is going to propose 2 or 3 different options for the roof besides the $60,000. He's called Delta Roofing, and they've come down and looked at it, and he's got somebody else, but we have not, as of today, received any bids. And it's my understanding that they'll probably, David will probably come with the proposals and probably with a recommendation which one but we'll have several things to look at.
I went to the bank today to see there was 2 spots. Neither one of those spots were
Were
leaking
wet.
today at noon.
I know.
Neither one of them.
We've been there 2 weeks.
And the place where it poured through is dry. They're waiting right now on, they call it kind of inset lighting or something. It had to be special ordered and the parts hadn't come. They hadn't come.
They got them.
Oh, we got them today. Okay.
I don't know if they got them here, but they're either here or they're in Springfield.
Yeah,
Camp
good.
lights is what some.
And he was laughing. He said, I've got to wait until they're in and we're absolutely ready for the sheetrock and those guys to come back, because when they come, they just do it. I mean, it's just done in a blink. So when I was in there at 8 o'clock this morning, and so he was, he didn't know it at that time of the thing. But boy, if you have any trouble deciding what it's going to look like, you need to go look at it. It looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, looks real good.
Yeah. They originally thought that we'd have ceramic tile from that hallway where the bathrooms are over past the big vault beside Suzanne's office and around and all the way down to the offices. Except the door on the vault is low enough, you're not going to be able to get ceramic tile under it. So it appears to me that that'll stay terrazzo, which is fine. And it is terrazzo, all behind by the vault, and then maybe a little bit around. I don't know where they're going to start the ceramic tile, but anyway, that'll be a change. I did get a hold of Jeremy Tate and asked Jeremy just to kind of give us a bid, let me know what it might cost to replace the sidewalk in front of the theater. That sidewalk is terrible. You got a really bad spot in front of the nail place, hair and nail place. And she's been to see me, concerned about some of her customers, elderly people in there trying to get in and out. The theater people have been to see me. The only ones that haven't come to see me are Kelly's. So anyway, we were looking at the possibility of replacing the sidewalk, not the handicap end, but from there down to the alley. and maybe not replacing all of the curb and gutter, but part of the gutter's got to be replaced, which means part of the gutter's got to be replaced too, because they're tied together. And of course, he's busy, so I haven't heard from him, but that, and we'll probably have to get another one or two, if we think we can afford to do it. That's yeah, that's the issue. It's going to be expensive, and of course, as we know, it's not the only sidewalk.
That, you was talking about sidewalk now, is that just the walk only?
Uh-huh.
I mean, because there's all that concrete right in front of Kelly's.
No,
there.
not that.
Just cut it, cut the corner and then down the hill, down toward us, or is it just gonna stop at the handicap?
Yeah, the handicap corner will stay, and then we'll just do sidewalk from there
The south.
south to the alley. Not doing anything with Kelly's. That's Kelly's deal.
I just,
Or
that's what I was
that's the way I
assuming.
looked at it, yeah. And compared to the rest of it, that's in good shape, but Lord knows we need to do our own sidewalk down to here. It's in bad shape. But, you know, we'll see. Anyway, we're just kind of looking at it. The skate park, recommendation from Murma was that we fence the skate park. Well, I figure, Rick and I talking about we need a 6-foot fence with 2 feet of barbed wire across the top to keep them out. And after what happened over the weekend, when 2 girls went by there and one of them dumped a gallon of paint in it, it makes you consider fencing it and locking it up. It doesn't get a lot of use. Most of the use is bicycles and kids sitting there dangling their feet in, and just, it's kind of a gathering place, which that's all right. But I've run bicyclers out of there a time or two. So Tim called me, and he called Rick, and Rick got a hold of James, and they came and got some extra garden hose from me, and it was water-based paint.
Yeah.
And there's so much graffiti in that thing. It didn't damage it. I mean, it's just, so.
It was fluorescent green.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're at a point where we either need to just let everybody do whatever they want to it, or go in there and probably sandblast it and get it all off. Put a camera on the maintenance building corner, put another camera on the pole, and you know, we'll just
Sandblast, need to wait to get your fence built before they get a chance to.
well, I don't really think a fence is going to work. I mean, you got to have it tall enough they can't climb over it. You got to have it enough you can't get a bicycle over it.
You get 6 foot tall and
Well, I was just kind of joking.
3 barbs
Yeah.
on top, or like or some razor wire.
Yeah, electric fence. Well, we just haven't decided what we think we ought to do with it. Sandblasting will cost us. Building a fence will cost us. So, well, I don't know. We're still just kind of mulling around.
They really don't use it that much, do they?
We've had one boy in particular that's there quite a little bit. These guys probably see it.
About like you, most of the time it's bicyclists, and we have to stop and run them off. And
Yeah.
so.
So anyway, it's a problem, and maybe we're just better off just leave it like it is. But it's pretty ugly.
You ever thought of filling it in?
I suspect Rick thought of that Saturday, and James. Anyway, they did catch who did it and so forth.
Sherry might check with some of the other cities that have these skate parks and see what other, type of fencing and whatever devices they have, and get some ideas at least of how some other places are doing.
Well, we'd have to have, yeah.
And
We'd have to have
Myrna,
at least a 5-foot fence.
and Myrna could probably tell her they surely have other cities that have these, might hear smart
Right,
guns.
you could have Reggie sit over there.
Yeah. They could alternate Tim and Reggie gardening.
Hey.
Uh,
You know,
Yeah.
Pool repairs, we got another estimate from Vaughn Pools in Columbia or Gift City or wherever they are. The original cost of sandblasting the whole thing and painting it was about $85,000, but the kiddie pool side needs work the most. You've got holes this big around where it popped out. You've got a place that was patched. There used to be a bench there, and it had to come out because the lifeguards couldn't see behind it. That needs to be patched. The patch is $7,000 something. The sandblasting is about $35,000, and Peggy and I are in deep thought about. I suggested maybe doing the patch now. I'm trying to do the sandblasting in the spring. But I don't know. You know, the audit's just barely over, and we didn't have. We talked about it yesterday, but we haven't talked about it today. So we're, you know, Peggy takes care of the money, and I try to figure out how to spend it. So that's where we are with
Doing
it.
a good job.
Yeah. Prying it loose from Peggy ain't easy, let me tell you. So anyway, that's where Peggy and I are. You know, what can we do? And so we haven't decided yet, but we will decide this week something, and I'll let you all know what we decide. We're gonna have to do something before it opens next time. The bathrooms, that Linex, you know, they came down and painted bathrooms, and we had an issue or two, and they came back and repaired it. No charge. So,
That worked out all right then.
yeah. Was what she's needing now is to replace a rusty door and rust on the panels in the bathrooms, and you know, so that's another thing I've got to go to Peggy about.
I don't know.
We talk about the pool, but the pool and the park's a real showpiece for us. You know, it is. It is. It's beautiful, and we weren't open very many days this summer. Rain and thunder and lightning and all that, and no way to stay open till Labor Day.
I'd like to see Sherry kind of stay on top of it a little more so instead of letting it all pile up at once.
Well, part of that's my job is to see that she does, and there's just so many things that need attention, and we just can't do all of them right now. You know, we're not in the bank yet. We're not in the city hall yet. Now we've got the roof, but anyway, we're still talking about it. So we'll see what we end up with. And I had down the audit, which Peggy was talking about. And that was good news. One of the things that she talked to us about, too, and I didn't know about it, no reason why I would have. We have a certain amount of water loss. Water we lose that's not billed. I told you that today. We've gone from 15% to 32%. 32% of the water pumped is not billed. Is that, I understood it right? I want to go back and to be sure that her math is correct. And so,
And that involves oftentimes your flushing of your hydrants, you know, and we had some major loss when we, like that tower, we had to drain. So that's to be expected. I mean,
yeah,
there's
but
not
now the tower isn't part of that.
right, I found that out too, but that was,
So,
You mean 32% besides that
no,
big loss up there?
no.
well, that loss will go on next year's
Next
audit.
year's. I thought it was.
It wasn't part of this 32%. Yeah, it is on top of 30.
Yeah,
But we had a safety meeting today at 1 o'clock, and so we had what I call an employee meeting. That's not what they call it, but so I just said something, you know, about the water and about being sure that we get it turned into Jennifer, that we keep track of it. And Jeff assured me that it had been turned in, that he kept track of it. And I said, this is 32,000, 32% over and above. Well, you know, he says it's all my stuff's accounted for. So I went over to see him after that, and I said, well, where'd it go? You know, how'd we lose 32% of our water? Well, we don't know. You know, it'd be bubbling up somewhere.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be showing up somewhere.
So anyway, we're going to try to get on leaks faster. We're going to watch our spills more. We're going to try to make sure that rural fire departments do in fact let us know how much they take. We don't charge them. Our own fire trucks need to, I mean, every little bit needs to be turned in, and we'll see if we can improve on that. I don't know what else to do about it.
I went to a water conference last week and heard a couple city administrators talking. I've got it documented at home. I should have brought that information with me. But that's a common problem, water loss among cities. But these two particular cities said that they started replacing meters, and their water loss went from 30-some% to 7%. They said those old meters are just not metering the water properly. You know, when they're 30, 40 years old, I don't know how old ours are, but they don't get faster over time.
No, we've got, we were talking about, you know, we're going to have to sometime start with our new meters, the remote. And what Peggy and I have talked about that, but I was thinking maybe we could pick a small amount of meters each month that we thought we could handle while we're doing the electric meters, and then we'd be in the habit of buying, and they're expensive.
They're expensive.
160.
Yeah, they're
A
about
meter.
double what your electric meters are
Yeah,
quoting.
$160 a meter, and we got 1,300 to 1,500 of them. So, in other words, kind of start with a few, and then when we get the meters in, and I think in everything goes well, 2 or 3 years, we'll have them. Hopefully, we'll have all of them electric meters in. Then we'll be in the process of already putting some of those meters in, and then maybe the money, maybe we can do more meters. But that is something we need to do.
I'll get that information to you. I've got the percentages down in the cities that took that corrective action on their meters, and that might be helpful to you. You can make contact with them and talk with them directly if you would like.
Well, I didn't ask either. It'd be interesting. How much money do you suppose that is? 32% of
Oh, yeah.
millions of gallons of
Millions of
water.
gallons.
Enormous amount.
Yeah.
It's a huge amount.
When they talked, it was enough to pay for the meters.
Right, and it usually is. If you may have, sometimes people will take out, kind of like with the LED light project when we initially started it, you take out a loan, and then what you're saving on your water is what you use to pay the loan, because it's a huge upfront cost. It's a lot of problems the cities have.
Yeah.
But,
I know we're still losing a lot of water, but it's so much better than it used to be.
oh, yeah, it is.
You couldn't hardly turn it down the street to
Well,
the water leak.
we've replaced some lines, and we've done some of that kind of
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
Like, I just wonder if, I'm sure there's kind of an average on a household. Is there some, possibly if meter readers could notice usage and maybe pick up on, you know, a problem area like, you
They,
know.
they do
They
that.
tend, yeah, take billing, they
They
tend
do
to
that.
watch
Now,
for those.
it may be anywhere from 30 days to 2 days late. You know, depends on when the leak occurred.
And
But
that's
I'm-
one of the things too, is when you get into these more
They know.
automated meters, you get a more consistent billing time, because if there's been a lot of rain and we're running behind on the reading, well, you're gonna have more days of usage, so it's a little hard to tell, is it just more usage or is it a leak? So when you have the automated reading, you just take the reading on the same day, and that ends up
Well,
giving you a better
yeah.
idea, but it's a process.
We're also gonna make an effort to do a little better job with our sheds. I told them today, we had turned the lights out when we're not there, or we're gonna end up having to read the meters every month and bill them and have it come out of their budget. And as it is right now, I don't have any idea what any of the sheds are using in water or electricity, either one. Now, if we read the water meter, and this is not a new problem, I mean, you know, Leon and I talked about it. At least if one of the sheds had a leak, we could tell it, you know. So, we're gonna work on that. I went in one of the sheds the other day. All the doors were up and every single light on and nobody there. And we forget that we pay for this. And if you could save $66,000 in 5 years with LED lights and all that kind of stuff, then we can save some by turning the lights off. And that's what we're gonna try to do a little bit better job. And that's a habit. Habits aren't broken overnight, but if we have to build back, that will make us break the habit faster, I suspect. So I talked to him about that today. I'll mention one other thing, and not exactly on there, but we do not have in the handbook the amount of time allowed for breaks. And so
I thought it was in there.
I couldn't find it anyplace. And a typical break is 15 minutes in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. To me, that's a typical break. Well, how long is your break? Well, it's 20 minutes. How long's your break? Well, it's 25. How long is your break? It's 30. How long is the break? It's just about whatever we decide it wants to be. So I told them today that I would get the supervisors together and we talk about the break and we'll decide kind of what it needs to be and we'll put it in the handbook. And also reminded them in the handbook it talks about getting on the computer and using it for personal use. We're not going to allow that. I mean,
I knew that would end up being a problem when those computers put in some of these sheds.
yeah. And I reminded them there is a way to tell where they've been and how long on the computer. So anyway, that's just everyday stuff. I don't have, let's see, anything else. We don't have the court docket. We do need to go into closed session.
Make a motion to go into close.
Need a second?
I'll say.
Second by Leon, all in favor?
All right.